So the opening scene with Karina in her office doing yoga, brushing her teeth.
I love a bit of multitasking. Also, that's a new office.
It is a new office. I agree. It looks very different than the last time we saw her office.
Yeah.
She's got a little window now that she last time was a hospital look window. Now she has one like outside. Um, I love how professional she is with Dr. Bailey. Like she calling her Dr. Bailey and all
I
that
wrote that
stuff.
down as well. They've known each
Yeah,
other for 5 years and she's still
yeah.
calling her Dr. Bailey. It's adorable.
Even when she's like in distress, when she's like, "I
Yeah.
thought we were over, Dr. Bailey," and when she had to throw up, she was like, "I
Yeah.
think this is funny, Dr. Bailey." Like it was just like really, but I absolutely loved Chandra Wilson, who plays Miranda Bailey, in the
She's
scene where Maya
always
came in.
brilliant.
Her facial expressions when she was looking between Maya and Karina, and you could tell she was egging for Maya. And the thing I wrote down was the silence, and then Dr. Bailey. It looks delicious, Maya. Like, and then Karina's
Aww.
just like, you can't be here. What are you doing here? And then Dr. Bailey just like, what? I just loved it. I loved that scene. I
Yeah.
thought they all did a great job. I loved Maya's gentleness. Like, no, I can't come, and I did, but I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
I just loved everything about it. What about you?
Same. What struck me was when Maya first came in, Karina's face, it's not anger, it's not disgust, it's not like, oh, for God's sake. It's just she's completely undone. She's just kind of like, oh, she's here.
Yeah,
And it's not until Dr. Bailey does that, it looks delicious, Maya. And that's when Karina actually, when she breaks, and it's Bailey that gets the side eye. Bailey gets the
yeah,
patented Karina, like, stroppy side eye.
yes, yes,
And then she's like, you can't be here. You can't just come stormy in here. But she doesn't really know how she feels at the beginning. She doesn't really know how to react. But it's not anger. It's not anger. It's not upset. It's not frustration. It's just kind of surprise. And I think that maybe she wasn't expecting Maya to turn up because it's not a Maya move. And especially
no,
with baked goods, like it's not
yeah,
a Maya thing. And do you remember I was saying last week, like as I said, I don't know what the right thing for Maya to do is. I don't know what I would do if
yes,
I was
yes,
Maya in this situation because what can you do? And when she brought it in, as soon as I saw the lasagna, and I said, "Stu, it's a lasagna, it's a lasagna," and
yeah,
of course it's the lasagna. Of course that's the
yeah.
perfect thing to do. It couldn't have been more perfect. But
No, I
she did it
couldn't.
in such a low key way. Like, I've brought you this. I can storm in, and I have stormed in, and I'm just going to put this down, and I'm now going to leave. But the parallels between that and the first time with the lasagna, and the fact that Karina had said the hotel food tastes like heartache, this has been like cooked with love. This is literally love in a bowl. It's love in a casserole dish. I just absolutely loved it. I did. And Bailey is always gold. Bailey is always gold. So I loved their little exchange as well. And then obviously when Bailey said, eat the lasagna, it might just turn your day
Yeah,
around. And
yeah,
doesn't it just?
yes. Eat the lasagna. Yeah, for sure, it did. It turned her day around. But it opened up a door that we needed
True.
opened, right?
But when Bailey comes back and Karina says she couldn't enjoy it, I thought that was quite ambiguous. Why can you enjoy it? Is it just literally because it tastes like poop? Is it because you've started feeling dodgy right away, or is it because you don't want to let yourself enjoy it?
Yeah,
That was what I thought. Do you not want to let yourself enjoy it because of the symbolism, or do you not enjoy it because you've been thinking about the clinic? Because the next line that she has is, I've been thinking about giving up my clinic hours, and that's the only connection that I've got to Maya. So is that why you can't enjoy it?
yeah,
And I thought it was super poignant when Bailey pointed out to her, well, Maya's trying to make the connection. She's like, it's the only connection I've got with the lasagna right in front of her that her
yeah,
wife's
yeah,
just dropped off. So it's kind of that whole thing of Bailey kind of making her realize, well, you're the one that's cut yourself off, actually. Like, there is stuff coming to you. You just have to receive it. What did you think?
No, I loved the whole scene. I loved I think Stefania killed the scene.
Yeah.
I loved the exchange with Dr. Bailey. I think that was written perfectly.
Yes.
And and that's when we started into the nonstop Karina vomiting, which there's a
Bless
lot
her.
of, yeah, I know, there's a lot of fandom talk that she's actually really pregnant and it wasn't food poisoning. So what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. I don't work in the medical field and I have not been pregnant. You work in the medical field and have been pregnant.
These
So,
two things are true.
so I mean, I personally don't think that she's pregnant. I think that that was a very violent reaction that came on very suddenly after eating a meal that Bailey quite rightly sniffed and said, "Oh, that's not right," and binned.
Yeah,
And so I just feel like it would be rather a coincidence for absolutely horrendous case of morning sickness to come on right at that very moment.
yeah,
Um, so my feeling is that she's not. But then, as we know, I don't care for that storyline, so I'm still
right.
holding on to her not being pregnant, which I should
Yeah,
just let it go. They've done a year and a half on it, so it's going to happen, and it's also what Karina wants, and so it's going to be like horrendous if she can't have it because that seems to be like the driving thing in her life at the moment. So if I want this character to be happy and successful, then I have to want for her what she wants for herself. So fine,
true.
give her a baby, but I don't think she's pregnant yet.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know if she's pregnant or not, but I don't think the reaction to the spaghetti was related to pregnant or the lasagna was related to pregnancy. I don't think those two are
No,
related at all. Yeah.
no.
I think it's something that's easy to kind of make it be related because you want it to be, but I just think it was some a way for them to put Maya and Karina together, and that's what happened, and
Yes.
that's what allowed Maya to knock on Karina's door at the hotel room.
Yes. Yes,
So I loved when
absolutely.
she got the call when she was like, Karina, when when she picked up the phone
Oh, to
and then
to
we
to Miranda. And so there's good old Karina worked side by side with Bailey for 5+ years. Still calls her Dr. Bailey. Maya's met her 5 times. Miranda.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
If she could have grabbed the steering wheel from Jack and kind of maneuvered that rig round the corner any quicker, she would have done. But yeah, bless her, going running to her side.
yep, and loved Karina's walk to the hotel door.
The
Um,
stagger,
yeah,
bless her, kind of curled up in the fetal position, and the way she moans when the door knocks, like,
yeah,
oh, and then
yeah. Like she has to
staggering
move.
over.
Yeah. Um,
So if she hadn't had to run to puke, what do you think her reaction would have been? I mean, she didn't have time to slam the door. She literally opened it and then had to boot. So she legged it. But what do you think her reaction would have been to seeing Maya at the door had she not had to go and unload?
I think she would have closed the door.
Do
I
you?
think yeah, because when she runs into the bathroom, she slams the door, and her first instinct after she throws up is to say, "Go away! I'm not letting you in here."
Yeah,
Um, so because she had to throw up, that opened up the door for Maya to be able to come in and stay in the room because she left
yeah,
the door. But I think if she wouldn't have left, there maybe would have been a small dialogue and then I don't want you here, and close the door.
yeah.
What about you?
Well, can I first of all point out that we all know who the tidy person in the like? There's always like one person that does hospital corners on the bed, and one person that lives like a feral raccoon in a
Uh-huh.
relationship.
Uh-huh.
And from the Maya's maniacal cleaning, and then from the state of Karina's hotel room, we can see who is the feral raccoon in the relationship. I counted 6 pairs of shoes, including the ones on her feet.
Wow.
There are clothes everywhere, and I'm wondering if it really was the lasagna that was to blame, or whether it was like her diet while she's there. Because on the sideboard, there's 2 mason jars full of like chewy sweets, like jelly sweets, and a bottle of
Uh,
red wine.
how did you see all? I'm. What did you just like pause the clips and look at the screen?
No, I'm a
How did we
lawyer,
get this
so
information?
I'm a
You
lawyer,
see
and I am.
everything,
I yes, I like everything is forensic. Unfortunately,
right?
that's the way my head works. That is the way my brain works. Like I see
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
Oh gosh.
not much gets past me. But yeah, like what a mess. like you need to go home to your wife because your wife needs to be, taking care of
Taken
you.
care of.
Clearly,
Yeah,
you are not thriving. You are not thriving.
that's funny.
But bless her, yeah, when she goes into the bathroom and slams the door, like, well, first of all, she has the most adorable tantrum ever, like
Yes, she does.
the little
I love the
stampy
stomp on
foot.
the foot. Yes.
Yeah, the little stampy foot. But when she says, "I'm not letting you in," I didn't think she was talking about the bathroom. I mean, she was talking about the bathroom, clearly. What she actually said was, "I'm not letting you in." And yeah, I felt that that was less about her physical space than her emotional space, really. And I
Yes.
also think that she was kind of trying to convince herself of that, And she says,
Yes.
it was torture seeing you at work, and I need space. But I think all of that's in spite of herself, because she's so angry and she's so hurt, and she's not done being angry and she's not done being hurt. She feels that she's entitled to that and she wants to live in it for a bit, but she comes undone when she sees Maya.
I was gonna say she kind of said that. She said, she got to the end when she was like, "It's not just gonna be that I come home and everything's fine. It's not gonna work that way."
Yeah.
But she realized that she's ready, I think, to need Maya back. So I
Yeah.
agree.
And I think going back to when Maya first turned up at the office, it was that look on her face of what do I do? It wasn't like anger and like vatane, like get out, it wasn't that. It was, oh, what do I do? And it's understandable that she is conflicted like that. And Maya, I think actually Maya comported herself really well in that situation when she just quietly said, I know you need space and I've given you space, but
Yeah.
if we're going to stay married at some point,
Yeah.
if we're going to reconcile at some point, we need to communicate. We need to talk. And bless Karina's reaction, saying, well, now you're just talking to me like I'm an item on your to-do list, you know.
Yeah.
And again, she puts herself last on that to-do list of
She did.
Maya's. She
Yeah.
says, you've made up with your friends, you've got your job back. I'm just the next thing to check off the list. And so you just want to
Yeah.
talk to me as like an item to check off your list. And I think that we're just getting more and more kind of insight into how Karina sees herself in that marriage. And to be fair to her, she has not seen the new improved Maya. She still sees her as clipboard Maya,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I agree. She hasn't seen what we've seen, and her feelings are valid that she comes last and is going to take some. I mean, she already tried to prove it to her when Jack texted her and said, "You need to come back," and she said, "No, I'm staying here with you." To me,
Yeah.
that was like the first thing to have Karina be like, "Okay, no,
Yeah.
she's not going back to work." So
But her feelings, like she said, I'm sick of being pulled around like a doll and being sick of being put on the sidelines. And now you've literally poisoned me, so
yeah,
it's like you've been emotionally poisoning me for months by doing this, by like dragging me from pillar to post and just, pushing me off to the side. And now you've like physically poisoned me. Now you've
yeah,
actually done it. But I feel like she needed to get that off her chest before she could kind of let Maya in that little bit, and that's when we get the little pout and the "I'm so cold. Can you bring me a blanket?" And again, like metaphorically, she she's she's without her comfort. She's without her wife. Things are cold. I felt like when she was talking to Bailey, I felt like that was probably the first actual conversation that she'd had with anyone about it. And,
yeah,
we were talking, weren't we, about how it seems like nobody from the station has had anything to do with them. The fact that Jack said to Karina, "How's Maya?" He didn't even know that Maya and Karina weren't talking.
right,
So she's obviously not been kind of talking to people at the station about it. She doesn't have like the best relationships with people at work, as far as we can tell. Everything just seems very professional there. So who's she had? She's been left out in the cold. And I felt like her kind of saying, "Can you bring me a blanket?" She just had like that emotional comfort and that emotional kind of warmth and being wrapped up in from her wife that she's been desperate for. I thought, but
no, it was a good play on words and a good visual of what was
yes,
happening, not just getting a blanket. Yeah. for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And Maya like outside the door as well.
yes, when she threw up the second time and then got quiet, the
Yeah.
tremble in Maya's voice when she was like,
Yeah.
Karina, Karina, it just it melted me
Yeah.
to hear the
But you picked up on when they were talking before in was it 09 with the shampoo when Karina goes back to get the shampoo and you were
yeah,
saying like Maya
yes,
physically trying to hold herself back and you saw
yeah.
that again because that door wasn't locked
No, it
and
wasn't.
it took you and she was literally wincing like
Yes.
there was a literal like wince of like physically holding herself back from just like smashing through that door and she didn't do it. She didn't do it. She waited for the invitation.
And that was so beautiful. It was beautiful to see the little subtleties that Danielle has been doing so amazing portraying in Maya.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and you know how desperately she wanted to open that door. You
Oh
know
yeah.
she wanted to just sit with her, and the fact that she waited, and then when she said get her a blanket, it was like, phew, like let me get that. Her ankle is healed.
She is fine.
She,
Gold medal all over again.
yeah, right. And then right in there, and that scene was. I've watched that scene on loop so many times of when Karina just fell into Maya's arms and
Yeah.
that was just beautiful. It was beautifully done, and it was a glimmer of something. So
So again, this is my lawyer eyes. I see everything. Before all the sweetness and affection, she hangs a like a bag of fluids up above the toilet. Has she
she
put that
does.
drip in Karina's foot? Because Karina's right shoe is off. Is that something that you would do?
If somebody's very dehydrated, I've done the foot before. Um, if they're very dehydrated, which I mean, it says that she's been. Now I'm pulling it up to look. It says that she's been repeatedly vomiting and is dehydrated. That's why she brought the fluids.
But I really loved in that scene after Maya's hung the drip and she's grabbed a
Yeah,
towel and she's like rubbing Karina's back and Karina tries to send her back to work and she says, "I am at work. I'm trying to prevent a catastrophe." And Karina says, "Yes, one that
yeah,
you literally baked into a lasagna." And
yeah.
Maya does that little smile and the eye roll, like, "Oh God." And that felt so familiar and so soft, like that's the sort of thing that she would expect to come out of her mouth, and it felt normal again. It felt like a little bit of normality, you know.
Yeah, the little smirk that she gives,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Maya
and
gives.
the
Yeah,
little, yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
um and then, and I know this is technical, but Karina is right to ask how you mess up a lasagna. How do lasagnas are cooked twice? You cook the meat twice, and
right. So there's no way.
there's
There's
no
no
way you
way.
can mess up a lasagna. And then Maya says that she took it out of the oven to get it to Karina while it was still hot. So it would still be hot, if not hotter, if she had left it in the oven for the correct amount of time.
Right, right. And it wasn't that hot when she dropped it off because she had it in
Well,
her
she was just
hands.
carrying it around as if it was
Yeah,
as if she'd done it the night before and it had come out of the fridge. So,
that's why people think she's pregnant as well because you can't mess up lasagna. So,
but Bailey did
but
say that it was not
it
right.
wasn't. It didn't smell right. Yeah.
And
So
also, Karina said that it tasted funny. So I'm gonna hang on to this being food poisoning and not pregnancy.
do you think she noticed that Amaya's when she checks her phone that the background is them? Do you think Karina
She
like glanced
has
down and
to. She
saw
has
that?
to notice. She has to notice. Maya asks her if the lasagna that half killed her at least tasted okay.
Yeah,
And I just thought it was so cute because it's like, oh come on, please just I just need something. Just give me a little bit of validation. And it's that that breaks Karina. She doesn't
yeah,
answer, but it's just the like the little finger like the what are you actually I'm like I've had my head down the toilet because of this lasagna and you're asking me does it taste okay? But they smile at each other.
it's the first normalcy there with each other. Yeah.
Is it me? Like, I'm prepared to be wrong. Like, I don't need to die on this hill. But is this the first time they've smiled at each other for the whole of season 6?
Probably, at least a genuine smile. Not so, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
uh, probably it's your first genuine smile. Yeah,
I don't remember seeing them smile at each other for the whole. I mean, like, they've had a couple of moments, like, they had, like, a kiss in the beanery on Halloween.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was the whole setting up the table and whacking on the lingerie affair
Right.
in 605, I think. But there was no real, that was kind of a desperation thing, like I need to feel something, not a, it didn't feel like a happy coming together. It felt like a desperate, like trying to hold on to something. And this felt like vintage them. And I think that it's the first time that they actually smiled at each other for this
Yeah.
whole series.
I agree. I agree. And it was beautifully done and nice to finally see it. So,
And again, a lovely bit of writing as Karina relaxes into Maya's arms and she says, "Thank you for coming." And Maya says, "Thank you for letting me in." And I don't think either of them mean Maya physically coming to the hotel.
yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Uh and that made it even more special though, kind of knowing what was behind the words. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it was just absolutely gorgeous. And then, as if by magic, Jack manages to intervene as he always does.
Yeah.
But Jack always manages to do this, right? So they're having a tender moment. Things are beautiful. You know, Maya's like rubbing Karina's arm, and then Jack sends a text message saying, "Come on, we've got to go,"
Yep.
and like ruins the
Yep.
moment as Jack always manages to do. And that's when, you know, as you were saying, Maya really comes through and shows Karina that she's going to put her first, because Karina tries to send her away and says, "Come on, no, you really need to go to work." And Maya's like reaching for a reason to stay. No, 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 because you could be really dehydrated, or you could actually be sicker than we think.
Yeah.
And then Karina kind of says, "No, come on, what is it? Spit it out." And that's when we have,
That she's scared. She doesn't want to leave because she doesn't know if she walks out that door when she'll see her again.
yeah,
And that was, I teared up. That was beautiful. And I love that Karina knew it was something deeper than what Maya was saying. And
yeah,
I loved her little shoulder, her little back
yeah. The
shoulder
little,
rub that
you
she
will,
tried to
you will,
do. And
yeah,
yeah, and the little hey, it just, Karina had a lot of subtle comforties that she did with her that I
yes,
loved. So even
yeah,
the wiping the little tear away, which was, we found out was improv. So
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I wondered, because we do know that the wipe of the tear was improvised, and the kiss on the forehead from Maya was improvised. But I wondered if the script called for Maya to actually have a tear and to actually cry, or whether Danielle just broke,
yeah,
you know, and it, because that tremble, there's a definite tremble in her voice when she says, I don't know if I'll see you again. And so then I wonder if the whole thing, if the don't cry and the tear wipe then
yeah.
was, you know, or if she was supposed, you know, if she really was supposed to cry, or if she just spontaneously cried. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was that she just spontaneously cried.
I remember thinking, especially after Stefania kind of revealed what the different improv things were in Paris,
Yeah,
I got the vibe that the cry was improvised, that Danielle
yeah,
just kind of did it, and then she
yeah.
went, yeah, that whole thing was
And then
improvised,
that the
which is,
tear wipe kind of followed on
yes,
from that.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
But
just magical. So
this is why they are just gold. They just really
they are,
are
they are,
um,
yeah.
incredible. It was so good. It was so good, and it felt like I didn't cry when I watched it the first time round. I didn't cry. But I don't know if I told you, I can't actually type anything at the moment. I can't write and I can't type because of some medical issues that I have, some problems
Yeah,
with my hands. So the notes are on my computer because I have to use the speech to text.
yeah,
And it wasn't until I was watching it a second time round and I was actually like dictating it and explaining it, and like that as I was saying it, I got really emotional and I started to cry. And I'm not really like a crier at TV
hmm,
much, but it got me. And I think it's because, like, this whole time, like, there's been so much tension, and they're so good at their jobs. The tension comes through the screen, and they've been holding their bodies in so much tension. And where they've been kind of at each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's heightened it. And so when we're so used to, for the first couple of seasons they were together, and they were great in season 5, like they were really together, they were really united in season 5, and we're used to them being such a comfort, and they feel like a cozy like blanket, they
Mhm.
everything's so soft and and light and lovely, and then suddenly they're like attacking each other and everything feels hard and brittle. Everything that I think that's the word, everything between them has felt very, very brittle. And I feel like literally the second that Karina just kind of sunk back and all of the tension went out of her body, I think the fan base and everybody watching, the tension kind of left our bodies at the same time. And it was just like
Yeah.
this big giant sigh and like letting it all out. And it's like, okay, it's not over. We can't just draw a line, but it's better. The tension's gone out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it felt so emotional, I think, is because it was like a giant kind of letting go.
Hmm.
I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I was really thinking about it because I had never looked at it that way before, but I can literally remember having deep sighs like that, like where it was just like,
Yes.
okay, you know what I mean? That were it wasn't better, but you knew it was going to get better, and just releasing
Yes.
that. So, but I wouldn't have been able to describe it how you did, but I can definitely relate. So, yeah, powerful stuff.
It was absolutely amazing. It was so well done. And what I really loved as well was like with Maya finding her boundaries. Well, first of all, I loved the reflection between Karina bringing the lasagna in season 3 and then Maya bringing the lasagna.
Yes.
And Karina's kind of breaking Maya's boundaries when she unknowingly when she brings the lasagna, and then Maya's kind of crappy to her and then says, "Well, look, I'm just broken," and Karina says, "Well, I don't fix broken people,"
Yeah.
and Maya kind of won't let her go, and then the thing happens that used to happen in the captain's office when the blinds went
Right.
down,
Right.
and this time Maya knows that she's breaking Karina's boundaries by bringing it in, and again she's kind of saying, I'm still broken, I know I'm still broken, but I'm not expecting you to fix the broken person. The broken person is fixing themselves, and I'm going to prove it by not letting you go. I'm just going to put this here, and I'm going to take myself away.
Right.
So kind of showing that I'm not the broken person that you brought the lasagna to in the first place. Like, this is a different situation. So I loved that. And the fact that she's respected that boundary. And don't forget, she's taken Brooke and Clara, she's taken Car Crash 1 and Car Crash 2 to the hospital,
Right.
but has resisted the temptation to
Yep.
go
To
to
go. Yep.
OBGYN and visit Karina. So how was the lasagna? How is it? She's
Yeah.
resisted the temptation. She
Yeah.
didn't do it. And then again, the bathroom door is closed but not locked. And again, she doesn't go through. So I just think that the growth was amazing. And the way that they dealt with that episode, actually, with Maya in that episode, was just really special. I think that it was just super well done.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about the fact that she had to go back to the hospital to drop Clara and Brooke off, and that would have opened her up to running upstairs to check on Karina. I didn't even
Yeah.
put that together. So yeah, so much growth. It's insane. I'm so proud of Danielle for where she's Maya for where she's at. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So any hopes for next week?
Well, I think slash hope that maybe Diane might have a word in Karina's ear,
Okay.
because we know that Diane is going to be in the episode. And it said the team is forced to make a risky call that could cost them dearly after Tomas's barbershop catches fire. Diane drops by the station and is called back into action alongside Vic and Karina. Oh, and then Beckett makes a decision about his future. So if Diane is working alongside Karina, obviously she can't break HIPAA. She can't,
Right.
talk in
Right.
specifics. But what she could say is, I think if you sat down and had a conversation with your wife, you would be very pleasantly surprised.
Yes, you
And
could say
also,
that.
your wife deserves a conversation at this point.
Yeah.
Not negating your pain, not negating, but she's put in the work, and she's put in the work for you. And I think that she kind of deserves the chance to like say to you what she needs to say. And actually, you deserve to hear it. So I think that that would be a nice conversation for the two of them to have, doctor to doctor.
Oh, that's a good way to put it, because I had the same thought, was like, can some kind of conversation happen where, obviously she can't reveal any patient information, but she can play with her words and stay safe around that,
Yeah.
and even just when if she just did it by checking in with Karina, and then it could turn into a, well, your wife's doing, she's working really hard for you, just something as simple as that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
um, okay, do what's the name for episode 11, do you know?
So I don't remember what it's called, but that's what's going to happen. And then meanwhile on Grays, because if you are a Karina DeLuca fan, you might want to watch Grays straight after, because Karina is going to be in episode 11 of Grays.
Yeah, I
So
thought about, is that the explosion one?
let's say, folks, if you haven't seen any promos, if you haven't seen any behind the scenes pictures, and you don't like spoilers, perhaps skip forward 30 seconds to a minute. Because when Tiffany and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, I said to you, didn't I, that they just released some behind the scenes of episode 11 of Grays, and that
You did.
Karina was going to be, I assumed it had to be clinic stuff, because Bailey was there, and Addison Montgomery and Joe Wilson. So the whole kind of OBGYN reproductive health team were there. And then, like a day or two later, Grey's released the synopsis for episode 12, so the following episode, that said, following, the kind of shocking events at the clinic, the hospital goes into lockdown. And so I said to Tiffany, I think that it's going to be kind of anti-abortion protesters are going to
Yep.
fly into the clinic in episode 11, and then that's the kind of shocking event that everyone's going to be sort of reeling from in episode 12. And then it turned out I was right. So they then
I
released,
saw it.
yeah, so I am correct. So my feeling, oh, and then my further sleuthing. Sometimes it's really annoying being a lawyer. The way that my brain works does not leave me any surprises. But do you remember in Stefania and Danielle's live, they said that the episode that they were currently filming was directed by David Greenspan?
Mhm.
And Stefania said, today's been a good day, because they were talking about how they didn't like being mean to each other as Maya and Carina. And
Yeah.
they were looking forward to best days. And Stefania said, today was a good day. Today was a good day. Episode 13 is directed by David Greenspan.
Okay.
So I think, and I said to you, didn't I, that my theory was that Karina was going to get caught up in all this hoo-ha at the clinic, and was going to have kind of a near-death experience, or kind of realize how short and precious life is, and that would kind of fast track their reconciliation. So that would track with that timeline. If the clinic's attacked in 11, they're still reeling in 12, that she might be back happy again with Maya, like realizing life's too short. Let's just
Yeah.
get back on the happy train by episode 13. So maybe she can get out. Maybe she's pretty. She could wink at one of those protesters and get out of a side door. No? Maybe she'll find a way out and she'll be fine, or maybe she'll be locked down in there for the whole entire thing and get completely freaked out. But I think one way or another, depending on whether she manages to escape or not, depends on whether we see her in episode 12 of Station 19, because she might still be locked down in the clinic.
Right. Okay.
So depending on how they deal with that, I think 12 or 13 will see them as back to normal as you can be after
Well,
something
let's
like
look
this has
forward to
happened.
it.
That's what I think. That's my theory.
Couple
That
weeks. Let's see what
that's a hill.
happens.
That's a hill I will die on, Tiffany.
No, that's a good theory though, because usually it takes something like that to convince us to change, right?
Yeah.
Um, And so she could get in there, and even if she doesn't have a near death experience, just having that it go on lockdown and not being able to get to Maya when she wants to.
Yeah, but I think, if
Yeah,
people are kind of throwing rocks or planting bombs or
yeah,
shooting at things, and oh, and the trailer for Grey said no doctor is safe.
right. I
So
saw that. Yeah, yeah,
someone's having a near death experience. So
right.
but I'm thinking that that's just going to be the catalyst to kind of spring them back to where we need them to be for our emotional well-being.
Yeah, we will see. Dun dun
So
dun.
what are you looking forward to for next week?
I'm looking forward to seeing if anything happens with Dixon and his claim against basically Station 19, because that didn't go away. That still happened.
No, and we haven't
Um,
seen him or Ross for 2 weeks now.
yeah, we haven't. So
So
that
there's got to be
that
some
didn't just go away.
brouhaha going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
I'm interested to see what happens with Travis because I really don't want him to be mayor, and
No.
I'm curious to see. And I'm curious to see the date with Eli and Andy. I'm on the fence about Eli, so I'd like to see how the date goes, how he
You want to
treats
see a
her.
foppish Englishman dancing?
I do. I very much do. Um, and I of course what happens with Maya and Karina, but I also am ready for something to happen with Beckett. It's getting old, the constant something happened because he's drinking. Something happened. It's like, okay, we got it. So something needs to change.
And you'd hope that his probie literally losing his life
Right.
would be the wake up call that he needs.
Yeah,
So
100%. So yeah, I'm interested for a lot. We didn't get a whole lot on the preview, so
no.
I'll be texting you as soon as it's over.
Yes. So redundant question considering all that has just gone before. But who do we think had the best growth slash arc in this episode?
So I'm gonna, other than Maya and Karina, because that's the easy answer, because Karina showed growth as well.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Travis.
Yes.
He showed a lot of growth on those phone calls, answering the questions. He learned a lot about himself, and so that was cool to see.
Good answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I mean, I
um,
feel like I was on a game show. Good answer. Good answer.
and then, what was, to your mind, the best scene?
To me, the best scene. Gosh, it's either when she's standing outside the bathroom door trying to get in, or when she's already in and Karina has kind of fallen into her arms and they're just resting with each other.
That was the best one for me, and not just because it was so comforting and it was like this giant exhale that we've all been waiting for since October.
Yeah,
Although that is the case, but I actually thought that was the best written scene. Travis had clever dialogue. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that was the best written scene. With the thanks for coming, thanks for letting me in,
yeah,
and then you could be dehydrated, you could be sicker than it, and then the having to kind of actually reveal, no, I'm scared. That's what it is. I'm scared of losing you. That's what it is.
yep,
So I thought that
yep,
it was just a very well crafted. It was very well written, and then as we know, the girls took it that extra step and gave it that extra something special. So they elevated it even further. So 100% that was the best scene for me.
awesome.
I didn't think we had like a gifable moment. This maybe Bailey sniffing the lasagna. That would make
Yeah,
a good gif, maybe. A bit
or
dropping it
her
in the
her eye
bin.
rolling. Yeah, her eye
Yeah,
rolling could definitely be. Just trying to think. Karina's pout could be. I think
true,
maybe.
true. And it's a shame they didn't focus more on her side eye at Bailey because I think
Yeah,
Karina needs to patent that or patent. I think you pronounce it over there. That side eye.
yeah, patent. Yeah, for sure. Those were both giftable moments.
And that's that episode. I think that we've covered it from all angles.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Now we got what, today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days until we get them back on our screen and get ready to go for episode 11.
All right. Well, thanks for spending the evening with me again.
Thank you. It was good to see you.
And you. So I will see you soon.